Hello and welcome back to the Gym Brats podcast presented by gymowners.com. My name is Hannah Leahy. I am the host of this show and I'm so happy to have you here. You are now a gym brat. If you're listening to this, congratulations. If it's your first time listening to the show, welcome. We are diving into a ton of different topics. We're talking about the gym. We're talking about beauty standards. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about my embarrassing stories. We get into a lot of different things on the podcast and I'm very happy to have you. If you have listened to the show before, welcome back and welcome to season 2. You'll notice now I'm in a slightly different location. I was in Austin, Texas, and I just moved to New York City. So if you're watching this, the background's a little bit different. I'm so happy to be here. Look out, Barstool. Look out, Alex Cooper, new podcaster in the city. Just kidding. It's never going to be that good. But I'm happy that you're here regardless. And this show is going to be a good one. I asked you all on my Instagram for topics that you want me to cover on the podcast coming up. And there were a lot of good ones. So I think today we're just going to do a rapid fire of a bunch of different topics that you guys sent in. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, go to the Gym Brats Pod on Instagram, or sometimes I post on my personal one some questions for you guys too, which is just Han Leahy, HANLEAHY fit on Instagram. So either one of those, and send me your topics, questions, anything, anytime. I want to interact with you guys. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the topics that were submitted to me. Okay, the first one I want to talk about that really sparked something in me was this question I got from someone, or this topic I got from someone that says, critiquing someone's form you don't know. Should you or should you not at the gym? Ooh, I like this one. As someone who's had my form critiqued before, and as someone who's anxious to be in the gym in the first place sometimes, I thought this was a really good question. And I think we've all seen it. Like you go into the gym and you see someone, if you've been going for a long time, you might see someone who's clearly doing an exercise wrong. Maybe they could possibly even hurt themselves because they're doing it wrong. Like, do you step in and say something? Do you not? Like, do you leave that person alone? I think that's a really good question. So I'm going to speak from my personal opinion because I can't speak for everyone. Like if everyone wants their form critiqued, but as a gym goer, I'll just give you my opinion on it. As someone with a degree in exercise science, I've been a personal trainer. It's hard for me to as an anxious person, it's not hard for me to not critique someone, but when I see something that's wrong, I do notice, but I don't go out of my way to tell someone when their form is wrong. And that's just because you don't know if that person walks into the gym that day super anxious that they're going to look stupid. And then if I came up to them and they were like, and I was like, hey, like you're doing that wrong, it might just like crush their confidence and they might not come back. So for me, I don't critique form on anyone else in the gym, and that's just me. I'd say if it's like a personal trainer that's like working for that gym, clearly a personal trainer, and they come up to you and they critique your form, I think that's totally fine. But I think as another gym goer, I just personally wouldn't feel comfortable going up to someone and critiquing their form for that reason. As far as do I want my form critiqued is another thing. I don't. Even if I'm doing something like not perfectly correct, I don't want someone to come correct my form. I've been doing this long enough that some exercises I know I do in a way that like looks different than what somebody else does it. And it's because I've learned for my body that that form is what works best for me. Like Arnold press, for example. I have found a way that feels the best on my shoulders personally. And it's like more of like a rounded motion that like looks different than like a traditional Arnold press would. And if someone came up to me and they were like, hey, you're doing that wrong, I'd be like, I'm not. Like, it might be also an ego thing. Like most people don't want their form corrected, but you never know why someone's doing an exercise that way. And if they're not hurting themselves, I think, it's up to them how they want to perform an exercise. So I just personally wouldn't critique form for that reason. Another thing that like kind of rubs me the wrong way is a man critiquing my form. I remember one time, like, I had no choice and I was like out of town. I had to work out at a Planet Fitness. Not that there's anything wrong with Planet Fitness, but I just don't like them. So I was working out at a Planet Fitness doing, I think bent over rows, and like a man came up to me and was like, hey, if you did it this way, you'd get more like activation here. And I was like, oh, like I'm not really doing it for that part of my back, but thank you. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because he came up to me and he's like, I've been lifting for 10 years and I just wanted to let you know, like you could be doing it this way. And I just don't need that. Like now I'm like self-conscious that someone was just watching me do bent over rows. Like I didn't need your help. I didn't ask for it. And so for this topic, I would just say like 9 times out of 10, don't correct someone's form. They don't want it. But if it's like someone who's come up to you before and asked you a question and you notice them doing something wrong or could hurt themselves, sure, throw in a little suggestion on form. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, let's not correct people's form unless you're a personal trainer and you work in that gym. And that's just my opinion on that. Maybe there's people out there who love when their form is corrected, but for me, it's not for me. Oh, okay. This next one I like. It's out of all the gyms that you've been to, what was the best and what was the worst? Kind of like how I just mentioned this gym previously. I don't want to sound like a hater, but the worst gym I've ever been to is Planet Fitness. And I'll just be honest about why I don't like Planet Fitness. First and foremost, the freaking, what do they call it? The alarm that goes off, the lunk alarm. That's what they call it, the lunk alarm. So if you're doing something that they perceive as like gym bro or like intimidating, I guess, like they'll turn on this alarm in the gym that goes off so everyone can hear that someone's doing something that the gym doesn't like. I hate that thing. I think it's so like pretentious, and also it's like supposed to be the no judgment place. I think that's what they call it, but that's so judgmental. Like imagine you're just like a new person at the gym and like you're nervous to be there in the first place and you accidentally drop a weight and then this alarm goes off and everyone looks at you and they're like, oh, look at this bro dropping weights and you just didn't know the rules. I just do not like that. They also have other strange rules that I just don't like. Like you can't carry a water jug in Planet Fitness because it's intimidating. Like a gallon jug of water is intimidating someone, then like why are you scared of water? Anyways, so that's another one that I don't like is that the lunk alarm, you can't have like a water bottle. They just judge you for being a gym goer. So instead of like, it's just a double standard. So instead of judging you at another gym for not being super fit, like this gym judges you for being super fit. And I just think like, can we find a middle? Like we don't need to call out people for being gym rats. We don't need to call out people for not knowing what they're doing. Like I think a true no judgment zone would just be like, people are allowed to do whatever they want, carry whatever water bottle they want. So that's one of the main reasons I don't like Planet Fitness, and it's the worst gym I've ever been to. But the other reason is just the equipment. So they don't have, unless this has changed, but I don't think that it has, they don't have squat racks or like deadlift platforms. So there's only free weights and machines. So if you want to squat, it has to be on a Smith machine, and that's like not ideal for everyone. If you want a deadlift, it has to be like dumbbell deadlifts or with the really light free weight bars, or even with the Smith machine. So I don't love that. When I'm going to go do like a leg day, I want to have a squat rack, a deadlift platform. And I don't know how high their weights go up. That's not a problem for me, but it might be a problem for other people. So yeah, I guess that would be the worst gym I've ever been to. And then as far as the best gym I've ever been to, I have to give a shout out to, drum roll please, House of Pain in St. Louis, Missouri. I love that gym. So the original gym that they opened was like my ideal gym that I would want to go to every day. It was a little like far from home, so I never had like a full membership, but whenever I could go, I would. And it's the type of gym where like there's black and white photos of like bodybuilders on the walls, and the equipment is all like kind of rusty and old, and the music is loud. And it just has like that good vibe that like everyone in here is working super hard, and it just motivates you to work harder. I think that's what's missing for me in Planet Fitness, but that is truly why I loved like House of Pain. So any type of gym like that where I walk in and it's like loud music, people have water jugs, the equipment's old and rusted, there's an open garage door. That's my kind of gym. That's what I like to work out in. And so I would say, yeah, House of Pain for sure, my favorite gym. And I haven't found a gym that's like truly like close to that since. So gotta give it to House of Pain. Okay, next question. Someone sent in quotes, toning workouts still being a thing. So it was really common. Like, I think when I first started getting on Instagram back in probably like 2015, 2016 for fitness content, there was a bunch of workouts aimed at toning muscles. Like, here's how to tone your legs. Here's how to get toned arms. And it's just like a weird word to use because you can't tone a muscle. You can grow a muscle. You can make a muscle smaller. You can lose fat, but you cannot tone a muscle. Like that does not exist. And so people get confused. They're like, well, I don't want to be bulky, so I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to do cardio because I don't want to be thin. So I'm just going to do these high rep range weight workouts to be toned. And that's not real. That's not a thing. If you want to be toned, which is what most people are after, you have to build muscle. And then you have to lose fat to reveal it. And that is how you'll look, quote unquote, toned. So I hate the word toning because it doesn't really give you much direction. If you want to tone a muscle, you need to do like a lean bulk where you gain some muscle and then cut to reveal your new muscle by losing fat. So that's how you get a toned muscle. There is no such thing as a toning exercise or toning a muscle. It either gets bigger or it gets smaller. You either get more fat or you get less fat. That's what toning is. So good topic. Thank you for that one. The next one that was sent in for topics is fat phobia in the fitness community. Then they said uplift everyone who wants to be healthy. I love this one. There is such like a misconception that you have to look a certain way to be healthy. And this one actually brought up some good like additional comments in my DMs on this one when I posted this answer to my story. And someone mentioned like, this is why I don't go to gyms. Like they are so afraid of people thinking like they're overweight and they're not meant to be there. They don't fit in. So they don't go to the gym at all. And then that makes them less healthy. And so I hate the idea of like fat shaming people, especially on social media. I see it a lot where maybe there's someone that's like slightly bigger or they're overweight and they're on like the cover of a fitness magazine and the whole fitness community gets on social media and they're like, why are we promoting this? This isn't healthy. And I don't think it's about promoting unhealthiness. I think it's promoting loving yourself through all parts of the journey. If you tell someone who's overweight, like, you're so unhealthy, you look terrible, go do something about it, it's not really going to motivate them to go do something about it. They're going to be like defensive, they're going to buckle down, and they're going to shut down and not feel like going to exercise. Why would they want to go to the place where all those people who think that they are less than work out? Like they're surrounded by the very people who on social media are fat shaming them essentially. So I think that whole language needs to stop. Because it's keeping people out of gyms. Like people think that they can shame someone into being healthy, and it doesn't work like that. Like no one wants to go somewhere where all of their bullies are. So I think fat shaming in the fitness community, fat phobia in the fitness community is overwhelming, and it's very sad. As someone who has a degree in exercise physiology, like all I want is for everyone to get healthy and to love themselves and, to get fit. And I think there's just like a sad underlying to the fitness community where people aren't welcomed if they don't look a certain way. And it's not every gym, of course. And I think that's why places like Planet Fitness exist. But I think if we could change the narrative from you have to, look a certain way to be healthy, I think more people would feel accepted inside of gyms. So that's my opinion on fat phobia in the fitness community. Stop, everyone. Stop bullying. It's not cute. Oh, okay. A juicy one. Last one we'll do today. This comment is... your raw opinion on bodybuilding and bikini competitions. This one's a juicy one. We could probably do a whole episode on this one eventually as well, but I'll share the basics now on my opinions of bodybuilding and bikini competitions specifically because that's what I did. So I competed back in 2019 for the first time, and then after that I did a couple more preps before deciding to hang up my heels, as they say, and never do it again. For me, I decided it's not for me. I decided there isn't a healthy way for me to do that. But I think that for some people, there is a healthy way to do it, I think, and I hope that there's a healthy way for people to do it. For me, it got to the point where dieting was just too much pressure on my mental and my physical well-being. It got to a point for me, I think people with addictive personalities will understand this. It got to a point for me where I wasn't trying to look my best for the stage. I was just trying to get as lean as possible, even though that wasn't how I looked my best. It became kind of like an addictive, obsessive food counting, addictive and obsessive water drinking, addictive and obsessive cardio, working out. And it was awful for me. I'm just going to be honest. It's not for me. It kind of sparked a few years of eating disorders. And I'm sure there are underlying reasons why that happened for me personally. And it doesn't happen for everybody. But I got too addicted to eating as little calories as possible on a daily basis, getting as many steps in as possible on a daily basis, working out every single day, feeling guilty on rest days, feeling guilty for drinking something that wasn't sugar-free, guilty for having too many carbs, guilty for not having enough protein. I just put all of this pressure on myself that was inescapable because you have to eat every day, you have to drink water, regardless of if you're in a competition or not. So literally 0 minute of my day, I could escape the thoughts of how is this affecting what my body looks like? Like, am I getting enough rest? Am I getting too little rest? Did I eat too much today? And all those thoughts were just constantly in my mind, constantly making me feel guilty, constantly making me feel shameful for resting, shameful for eating, shameful for having alcohol. And I tried again. After 2 preps like that, I tried a third one, and it was still, I just couldn't escape those thoughts of being too addicted to the scale and to food and to all of those things. Every time I would exit a prep, I would have terrible binge eating. And so there was no balance for me because I was either completely not eating anything or I was eating too much, and I wasn't healthy. I didn't like working out anymore. I didn't enjoy food anymore. It was bad. And so for me, it's just not it. I'm sure there are people who can have preps where they count their calories and they're strict, but they like it and they're disciplined, and then they can go into an off season and enjoy their life. And it seems like on social media, everyone's doing that's competing, but I know that that's not true. But I hope for the majority, they are able to find that balance. It's just not something I ever could do. So my thoughts on bikini competitions are, if you're not someone who is going to take it to an unhealthy extreme, go for it. It's fun. I liked it. Being on stage is cool. But if it becomes your whole life, your whole personality, you can't enjoy the things you used to enjoy, I'd say it's time to hang up the heels. As far as like men's bodybuilding, I'm sure the same kind of thing can happen. I've seen it with men too, where they just get too obsessed with what they're eating every day, too obsessed with going to the gym. They can't miss a workout. They can't miss a protein shake. And I don't think that is a healthy way to live either. But again, bodybuilding is in seasons. So I do understand doing that for a few months, a few seasons of your life, and then being able to switch it off and live a balanced life. But I think for the people who don't know how to turn the switch off, that's where bodybuilding can get unhealthy and negative. But I do hope that everyone that's doing it can find that balance, because I think it is a really cool sport. I do love to watch people on social media. I love to watch Mr. Olympia still. So I think it's a cool sport, but you just have to, like anything else, make sure you're doing it in a healthy way. It was hard for me to accept at first that it wasn't for me because I was so into it. But yeah, I just kind of had to realize one day that if I want to live a healthy life and have healthy relationships, then bodybuilding can't be part of it, and that's okay. There's still ways to enjoy fitness without taking it to the extreme of competing, and I think I've found that. I love to go to the gym. I still like to make sure I'm eating enough protein, but I don't do it in a way that makes it so that I can't enjoy my life. So those are my thoughts on bikini competitions and bodybuilding. There's so much more I could go into with this topic, so maybe we'll do a whole episode someday, but for now, those are all the Instagram topics I have from you guys. Again, I love hearing from you and seeing what you want to hear about. So please go to the Gym Brats Pod on Instagram so that you can send me your requests. Never be afraid to DM me or leave me a comment. I'd love to chat about anything and everything. So that's all I have for you guys today. Check out the channel on YouTube, the Gym Brats Pod. Check out our Instagram, the Gym Brats Pod. And have a great day. Go to the gym, eat your protein, get your water in, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, Gym Brats.